I don't have a brain. What do you mean? I'm a model.
I don't.
That's so crazy. Mental health. What is that?
Recently, I recapped how my 2019 was. Career-wise, amazing. Personally, for me, the human being, not the model, it was not a great year.
It's actually interesting that fashion and being around a lot of people who you would think that they're perfect or feel perfect or look perfect or have perfect lives, who are deeply unhappy with how they look and their lives.
As a model, you have to literally have this separation of yourself where you don't even belong to you anymore. What it does to your brain is so fucked up. All the models that I know, we all have self-esteem problems. So it's really funny when you see people targeting us and making fun or thinking that we're this super sexy entity. Imagine the whole world judging every pore of your entire body. Who trained you how to cope with that?
There's a lot of pressure to be, not perfect, but yeah, to be on for people because, for me personally, I never want to seem like I'm not grateful for opportunities or come off as a diva. And, sometimes I feel like you have to try extra hard to be the happy, positive model on set.
Mental health is really important. I'm only 18 and I'm just going to start working on it. I want to see myself a few years later and see how I'm dealing with life. I suffer from very bad depression and anxiety. I've been suffering with it for some time, and I decided enough is enough. I'm not gonna keep suffering from this in silence. I know that there's so many people out there who are going through the same thing as I'm going through.
What you see in the media most times is the highlight reel. It's okay not to be okay sometimes. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have bad days. Those aren't the days that we're putting on Instagram.
What's hard is that people still, despite all of this affirmed tragedy in history, that people still equate success with happiness or confidence or wholeness. And I sometimes don't want to let people down in that's not what it's like. But that's also not true in ways. I do feel so much more full in that I've been able to change how people see and feel about themselves, which is so much more fulfilling than I could have imagined. But sometimes feels like I get home and I'm have to unzip myself, hang myself up for the night.
Some girls join this industry at an age of 16. They leave school at this hope of becoming a model. A lot of the time it's money and they want to support themselves and the people around them, and sometimes although work may dry up, there's always that hope of something new coming through. But at the end of the day, they just want to keep afloat.
Imagine being in a workplace where everybody's always saying oh my God, you look so good and you're so pretty and whatever and blah, blah, blah. And your vision of life changes maybe a little bit. So I guess people just get addicted to it and then they don't want to leave anymore. So they just rather want to struggle and stay than leave.
I think there needs to be a major overhaul in how girls and people are treated, not just as objects, but as disposable. Existing in scarcity is such a dangerous and violent war zone in any space. And fortunately, this version of scarcity which I live in is still very lucky, but it still takes a toll on me and takes a toll on a lot of people in this industry. And it's not just models. It's why the competition and the abuse of power is so pervasive, is because everyone's afraid to get kicked out and to be over. And it's really dangerous.
I feel like a lot of the models, they don't speak up because they know that they're risking something.
Because it's dangled in your face that you're replaceable. It's literally dangled in your face. You don't like how we're doing things, cool, we can replace you.
Yeah.
This is why people don't speak up. because the fear.
Because they feel disposable.
Yeah, the
It's like-
fear is so strong.
Sometimes I think like, oh, I could use a 2-month holiday, and then I'm like, oh, but what if like after those 2 months nobody wants to book me anymore? Fashion is so fast, you'd never know like what the next trend is and if you're still gonna be in trend.
There is a lot of turnover, and you see models come and you see models go. I think there has to be a discussion with casting directors and a discussion with editors of what they want to see and what makes them want a model to last.
I think that a lot of models are fearful because we're often made to feel like if we speak out about something against a certain client or brand or designer, that we're gonna mess up the relationship and therefore would never be used again. If something isn't right, we should be able to voice it without feeling like we're gonna be crucified for it.
What's the lifetime of a model? How long?
Everyone says you have 5 years max.
No, but let's just say.
Yeah, everyone
right.
says you have 5 years. But
Right.
if you're smart and you know what you're doing, you can make it last longer.
But think about it. If
Thing
you're there
is-
for 5 years and there's all these issues, would you want to be like, oh, I'm gonna speak up, or I'm just gonna get my bag and dip?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I feel like a lot of the reason why it lasts 5 years is because of the way this industry
did it.
ruins you mentally.
Yeah.
It's not because you become ugly or you look, or
No.
you can't walk anymore. It's, most models, they quit.
Yeah.
They just leave, they just walk away. No one says you can't model anymore.
They leave broke. They leave broke. They leave tainted. They leave like empty shells of what they once were. They literally have no more life in them.
There are so many moving parts, especially being part of an industry with so many different people, that you face a lot of struggles. You have to wake up every day and choose that happiness for yourself, not for someone else and not based on anyone else.
I didn't come from any kind of money. I have dedicated my entire 20s to an industry at which tells me that in a few years it's gonna be over. So it's pretty scary. And it wears on my mental health. It has worn on my relationships. I spend 40% of my life on an airplane. So yeah, it's definitely changed, but it's also impacted it in other ways in which like I can always say that no matter what, like I changed something, and I never envisioned, I couldn't tell my like chubby 10-year-old self who thought she wasn't gonna do anything in the world that, so grateful for that.